Okay, so I want to welcome folks to the Arlington Transit Advisory Committee meeting tonight, Tuesday, May 9th. And why don't we start with introductions of staff first? So one by one.
Good evening. It's Pierre Holloman, Arlington Transit Bureau. And I was just asked staff, if you are on, please call on the next person. And the next person I see is Robin.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Robin McElhenney. I'm the Transit Capital Program Manager, and I'm going to pass it to Clinton.
Good evening, everyone. Clinton Edwards, Transit Services Manager with Arlington County.
Kirk Dant, Arlington County's WMATA Service Coordinator. And I'm going to turn it to Diana.
Good evening, Diana Isasa, Project Manager with Arlington County. I will turn it to Ryan.
This is Ryan Jones, Arts Asset Manager.
Stephen Frazier, Transit Marketing and Community Outreach Manager, and I'll turn it over to Connects.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Connect Sevilla, Project Manager for Bolson West Entrance, and I'll turn it over to Edwin.
And also we have Rocco, you're online as well.
Hi, yes, this is Rocco Visconti, Management Intern for Arlington County.
And Mr. Chair, I believe that's all the staff that I see on at this time.
Okay, great. Thanks, Pierre. All right, do we have any members of the public that are on the call tonight?
Hi, my name is Doris Ray, and I am a member of the Disability Advisory Commission and the WMATA Accessibility Advisory Committee, and I work at Independence Center of Northern Virginia.
Okay, thanks, Doris. Any other members of the public? All right. Let's go to committee members. My name is John Carton. I'm chair of the committee. And I think we have Alexa next.
Hi, this is Alexa Mavridis. I'm a member of the committee and chair of the accessibility subcommittee.
This is Ronald Decker, a member of the committee. Did you hear me?
Yes, loud and clear.
Hi, everyone. This is Frank Kroll, also a member of the committee.
All right.
Herschel Cantor, member of the committee and the accessibility subcommittee.
Okay, any other committee members on the call?
Hi, this is Alex Kumana.
Okay. Okay, any other committee members? Okay, if not, Pierre, do we have a quorum yet?
Mr. Chair, we still do not have a quorum.
Okay, all right, well, let's we'll skip over, well, we'll go to public comment now and see if anybody else joins us. So anybody would like to talk during public comment?
Hi, this is Doris Ray.
Okay, go ahead, Doris. You have 2 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I am very interested in the agenda for this evening, particularly the reports from WMATA, and one of the things that I don't know whether you're going to discuss that I did want to mention is I saw you're talking about the fare adjustments for Metro Rail, and I just wanted to mention there is a significant fare adjustment for Metro Access riders, and from starting in July, the maximum fare for any Metro Access ride will be $4 for each ride. So this is a significant and wonderful benefit for persons with disabilities. I wonder how that might impact, if at all, patrons of STAR. And mentioning STAR, I do look forward to see civic engagement with STAR riders coming up and getting input and feedback from them on what they need from the service and what they would consider fair and equitable policies going forward for STAR. And I did want to mention that I tried to call into the accessibility subcommittee meeting, and maybe somebody gave me the wrong number because it was also the number for this meeting. But I appreciate the opportunity to observe and participate in your meeting.
Okay, thank you very much for sharing that. And as far as the WMATA issues, that will be discussed a little bit later in the meeting, as you know. Okay, would anybody else like to talk during public comment? Okay. If not, Pierre, do we have a quorum yet?
Yes, we have a quorum.
Okay. Okay, with that in mind, let's go ahead and consider approval of the March 14th minutes. Is there a motion to approve?
Seconded.
Who moved it?
I'll so move.
Oh, sorry.
Okay. All right, so we have it's been moved and seconded. Discussion of the minutes? Okay, if no additional discussion, all in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
All
Aye.
opposed?
Aye.
Okay, it sounds like they carry unanimously. Okay, let me just say this. So during the meeting here, it's helpful if you turn your camera off if you're not speaking or presenting. So Ronald, I ask you to turn your camera off and mute yourselves too, unless you have a question. We can try and see it in the chat if we can. If not, you can call it to our attention. But the next item here is the Arlington Transit Operations and Maintenance Facility update.
Yes, good evening, committee. This evening, I was going to give a quick update in regards to where we are with our Arlington Transit Operations and Maintenance Facility. Give you some background, and I'll explain what I'm going to show on screen. So if you are or are not familiar with this particular project was, set aside as far as a need after seeing ART's fleet grow significantly. If you are or are not aware, ART is fairly young in terms of being a transit operator, starting service in 1998. And there was significant growth between 1998 and 2018. As a result, we went from a few buses to over 70 or close to 80 buses as we are today. And over time, there were additional plans that were developed, such as the Strategic Plan or TDP in 2016, 2017, which set aside future services for ART at the time, which included expanded services, new facilities, as well as a look into the future to talk about other things that we will hopefully get to in this in the update of this plan. And also, we currently operate out of 4 or 5 different locations. And we also have our maintenance facility in Alexandria, Virginia. So moving buses up and down I-395 is not convenient. So as a result, the county board and staff look to find ways to ground the ART fleet within the county. And in July 2018, the county board approved the purchase of 3 small parcels on Shirlington Road in Green Valley, and I'll note that in the next coming slides. And also, this project has moved pretty fast. We started our preliminary design in 2018, 2019. In 2020, Stantec, who's our design engineer, was awarded the contract to start design engineering services. And this project is also unique because we're doing a construction management at risk. It's a different project delivery method than we typically utilize, but we felt that this was the best method to deliver this project, and that contract was awarded to Turner Construction. We just broke ground on the facility just less than a year ago in June of 2022. And just want to give a special shout out to our funding partners, the Northern Virginia Transportation Authority, NVTA, who is actually funding a bulk of this project, as well as the Virginia Department of Rail and Public Transportation, who provided quite millions and millions of dollars, as well as the county and the county board for providing local dollars to support this project. So on screen, and I'll try to be clear in identifying, as noted, we were successfully able to purchase 3 parcels of land adjacent to I-395. And pretty much it's the eastern premise is I-395, the western premise is Shirlington Road. And there's a small plot of land in between. And we had started to operate out of the larger parcel, which is located on the eastern side adjacent to I-395 in 2018. And we pretty much just had bus parking and a trailer facility for our operations staff. There was a smaller parcel on the western side that's separated by a stream channel, and we used that western parcel between 2018 to last year for storage of bus parts and materials such as bus shelters, poles, benches, and etc. So as noted, we parked buses and had a small trailer on the eastern parcel of land adjacent to I-395. And we did have several challenges with the actual site itself. Mainly, it was a old industrial site that was paved over, and as part of being paved over, there were potholes and other logistical challenges that wasn't really feasible to operate out of. However, I would definitely applaud our contract and our operations staff and our contract provider, First Transit, and well as National Express, who did their best to operate out of those conditions as much as possible, as best as possible, I should say. As noted, the parcels of land are separated by a stream channel, and this particular stream channel was not in the best condition before we started construction. There were cracks throughout retaining walls. There were trees that were overgrowth, as well as trash and other items that were collecting inside the stream channel. What is shown on the screen here is just showing tree overgrowth as well as the prior cracked retaining wall that separated the parcels of land. What's on screen is the retaining wall that is on the western parcel, and that was the smaller parcel which I was referring to earlier. If you are or are not familiar, there was a former lumber building that was located on the smaller parcel on the western side. That building was torn down, but we did use, like I mentioned, we did use that building for storage. On screen, the building itself is decrepit, but it's no longer there. Now shown on screen is the start of construction. As noted, we broke ground in June of 2022, and construction started immediately after. On screen shows, well, and try to describe as best as possible, on screen shows just the clearing of that larger parcel of land, which is removal of asphalt, trees, bricks, and other and soils and other elements that were found on that larger parcel of land adjacent to I-395. What's currently shown on this slide here is a retaining wall that was built in October of 2022, as well as stormwater infrastructure. This is very key, mainly because the site itself, prior to us starting construction, was not level. So a lot of the stormwater runoff was actually running towards the southern end of the site. These facilities that are being put in for stormwater will help alleviate those issues as prevent flooding on the site, as well as the constructed retaining wall, which is pretty much on the southern end as well as the western end of the larger parcel adjacent to I-395. The current slide shows the newly constructed retaining wall. This is more so the wooden planks that were installed prior to us installing the actual stones to hold in these planks. But this is to protect the western parcel and also to help with issues related to the stream channel. With this, we repaired the damage that was with the tree overgrowth and also the cracked stones that was noted in the prior slides. But this is a way for us to make a great improvement to the stream channel, but also ensure that we can maintain as well as have a site on the western and eastern side which does not flood. The current slide is erected still. This facility is a 3-story facility and still began to be erected in the spring of this year. There was topping out of the site in April, which means that there was steel that was placed over the top roof sections. And I think I actually have a picture of that here. So yeah, so currently on the screen is the topping out of that 3rd level. It's pretty much a steel roof over top of the 3rd level, and there are head houses on the eastern and western side of the facility for elevator shafts. This facility on the 1st level will feature maintenance. The 2nd level is a combination of maintenance and operations, and the 3rd level is a combination of administration and operations. This is a unique facility mainly because we are working on 2 or 3 small parcels of land. And for transit facilities, typically these facilities are on acres of land. So we're trying to cram in as much as possible here. Shown on screen now is the more recent a view of the site. It includes additional steel structure. There is a lot of work that's currently happening with the stream channel. We are installing a new box culvert, which will allow water to flow underneath in a better and also deal with mitigate flooding, as well as we're relocating or we're getting assistance to relocate the power poles and telephone poles that are out there today. This particular, what's being shown is the actual larger parcel adjacent to I-395 where the main building is located. Currently shown on screen is the smaller parcel closer to Charlottesville Road on the western side of the site. This particular was shown is the start and foundation, as well as the start of a structure for our employee parking garage and storage. This will be a parking garage which will allow operators and maintenance crews, as well as the admin staff, to utilize, as well as visitors who are visiting the art building, as well as gives us additional space for storage for bus shelters and other parts. So it's a secure site, and we are tying the security to the actual building. So anyone utilizing this particular parking garage will need to be buzzed in. So what's to come? The process of installing exterior and interior wall is actually happening right now. By the probably end of the summer, it will look more complete. And the big element of this is that, our current contract with Turner Construction calls for them to be substantially complete by December of 2024. And currently they are on schedule to do so. We have reviewed 60% and 90% designs for battery electric bus infrastructure. And that hopefully will be coming from our design engineer, Stantec, in the coming weeks, so that particular scope of work can be included into Turner's scope. We're still on track to have the facility open by the winter or spring of 2025. As I noted, this has been a really quick process, but we've also done a lot of great work, and then we have a great team. And I want to also just give a special shout out to all the team staff who have assisted and worked on this project. For more information on this particular project, I do include the link here, and also can state the link if needed. But this is time for questions if there are any.
Pierre, thanks for that presentation. It was very comprehensive. It's great to see where it stands now. Two things sort of jump out at me as I look at that again. First of all, stormwater management's always a challenge in Arlington, and you certainly had a big challenge with that piece of stream going right through the property. Second thing is, it's never easy to find available parcels in Arlington that are available for the intended use, such as this sort of commercial industrial use. So congratulations on, handling all of that. So anybody else have questions or comments for Pierre about the project?
Yes, I do, Ronald Decker. Yeah,
Okay.
I'm still not clear on the, are you going to do bus maintenance on this site, or is that all still be done in Alexandria? And I'm not clear on what each of these floors of that 3-story building will be used for. Will you take buses inside the building for maintenance?
So yeah, so just to be clear, once we have this facility open, we will not utilize the facility in Alexandria. All of our bus maintenance will take place at this facility. The first level was all bus maintenance, where buses will pull or back into the bus maintenance bays, and service will be done on those buses. We have a parts room. There's other maintenance functions that are on the first level. There's also additional parts storage on the second level, as well as operator space, so locker rooms, meeting rooms. And the third level is administration, as well as operators and operation space, where there'll be rooms where operators will be able to exercise during the day, during their shifts. There'll also be rooms where they can eat lunch. We currently have a really, really tiny space in our current facility for such. So it's pretty much providing a first-class facility for our operators and our entire transit operations and maintenance team, so that we can house as much as possible in this one facility, rather than being in 5 different facilities as we are today.
Yeah, well, that sounds good. The elevators, I assume, will be heavy duty to carry equipment and parts.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, like a freight elevator.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, any other questions or comments? Okay, Pierre, we look forward to updates in the future, but thank you for this comprehensive update. So our next item here is from WMATA Better Bus Network Redesign Update.
William Jones and Andre Stafford, please.
Good evening.
Good evening, everyone. We thank you for joining us and allowing us to share an update with you about the Better Bus Network Redesign Project. Pierre, if it's all right, we'll share screen and share the slides.
Yes, that's fine.
Very well. So as you all are probably aware, we have been doing a lot of work as part of this effort. And so the update here is to share with you all where we are in the process. The Better Bus Network redesign, which has been working on since September. And last time we came back to you in November, we were concluding the first round of outreach. So this is an update since then to look at how we make bus service better in the region. And the network redesign is one of many elements that are under the Better Bus theme that Metro is working on. And the reasons for redesigning the network are listed here. It is to better connect people to where they need to go, to promote equity, inclusiveness, and access to opportunity, to keep up with our evolving region and the people that live here, and to create an easy to use network no matter where you are. And as we all know, as we're coming out of the pandemic, the way that transit travel is taking place is changing. And so with that, there is a need to have a bus network that is changing with that travel pattern. As I mentioned, this project has been working since the summer. We had a phase 1 outreach. We shared where we were back with you all in November. After that, Andre and I have been meeting with members of the Transit Bureau staff, Kirk, Paul, on developing and looking at network options. And so it's been a collaborative effort with the team there. This project also includes us working with other municipal service providers within the region. Of course, we're working in partnership with Prince George's County, as well as the city of Fairfax Q, but we've been coordinating with Fairfax Connector and Alexandria Dash as a part of this effort as well. And we did that over the past few months. And so now we're in the phase 2 outreach period. And this is where we're looking for the region's feedback. And we have a period of feedback that we're going to be looking to receive comments between now and the 5th of June. What I'm going to talk about is a draft visionary network. It is draft. It's not final. There's no schedule changes that are happening this calendar year. We have a ways to go before we get to a place where services would be implemented. And throughout that time, we're going to be looking for feedback throughout. So here are some highlights from the Draft Visionary Network. We see this network having the potential to match when and where people want to travel. We seek to try to provide quality customer and operator experience. One of the things that we heard throughout the outreach time during the months of October and November is that passengers, whether existing passengers or passengers who left, stopped using the bus for various reasons, wanted fast, frequent, and reliable service. As we've gone throughout this effort, we have sought to address inequalities and increase access to opportunity for disenfranchised communities. On the right-hand side of the slide, you see some information that's listed there. This Draft Visionary Network could deliver about an additional 40 to 45,000 weekday trips and about an additional 30 to 35,000 weekend trips. And if we were able to get those additional persons to take transit, This draft visionary network could help us avoid over 14,000 metric tons of greenhouse gas emissions a year just by having residents switch from using their own vehicle to taking transit. Some of the essentials in terms of this bus network that we're looking at is something that we see is that the region needs and deserves. And so some of the essentials that we have listed here is that we see that all non-commuter service should operate 7 days a week across the region. Some routes run only on weekdays, some routes run weekday and Saturday, but the hope would be that we could put a network together where 7-day-a-week service can be provided. We also see this network an essential thing that all service should operate as frequent as possible and at least every 30 minutes. Some of the things that we'll talk about, do look at, and as you go through and see more of this information, you'll see that there are some bandwidths where we look at services running 12 minutes or better, or between 12 to 20 minutes, or between 20 to 30 minutes. And so that's some of the recommendations that we're looking at as part of the Draft Visionary Network. And lastly, we're looking at setting up and developing a regional 24-hour network that will provide access to key jobs and nightlife areas that would suit the needs of those who need it throughout the region. And now I'm going to turn it over to Andre, and Andre is going to share a little bit more about this Draft Visionary Network. Andre?
Thanks, William. So this new network will actually create new connections throughout the region that don't currently exist and are very time-consuming via Metro Rail. For example, if you see on the map here, on this graphic, it says 24-hour route between Bethesda and Tysons. Currently, if you make that trip, you would need to take the red line to downtown DC and then basically take the silver line back out of DC into Tysons. That's a very time-consuming route. So we're looking to improve our intranet between Metro Rail and Metro Bus and fill in those gaps to provide alternative services to reduce our dependency on private vehicles. We are actually looking at connecting to transit hubs. So instead of having, transfers be delivered throughout the community, maybe connect to systems such as the Arlington bus station, have those throughout the region so that people can make connections to frequent services at a very safe, convenient, and comfortable terminal, as opposed to on street corners where they're exposed to various hazards. We're also looking to connect to new employment centers and new points of interest, such as a new Inova Alexandria hub at the old Landmark site. That's also included in our long-term vision plan with the transit center going in, and to have services going to various parts of the Northern Virginia area to that area as well. We're also looking to improve access to Dulles Airport by having connections after hours after Metro Rail closes. If you're not familiar with it now, that is a significant distance out to Dulles on Metro Rail. The last trains leave relatively early in order to get to the core of the system in DC to meet up, to have our late night meetup trains to spread back out throughout the region. So in order to accommodate that as part of our 24-hour network, an extension to Dulles Airport is also being considered. Next. So here's an example of our existing network right now. If you look at this, it looks like spaghetti on the screen. We basically look for those overlapping services to create our frequent networks. So what you have is a series of 20-minute or 30-minute routes coming together throughout various areas to create a frequent service on top of different corridors. So if you see on Columbia Pike, you see there's 5 lines listed there. That's currently the route 16A, 16C, G, and H right now operating along those corridors. Moving forward, as part of this program, we're looking to consolidate some of those routes into stronger, more frequent routes that operate more consistently at a lesser headway. So if you see now, that dark red line there is service every 12 minutes or less, but there's less lines on Columbia Pike. So that means if someone were to go out to the corner and wait for a bus, there's no confusion as to what line they're looking for. It's going to be, very few choices, but it's going to be very intuitive as far as where the buses are going to go. And as you see here, there's a number of red lines that are also included. There's Metroway to the east. There's the Western Transitway there along 395. There is the Columbia Pike services, and then there's the 28A going out to Tyson's, which is the one that goes through Falls Church, which is being proposed to be enhanced to BRT services with NBTC's study currently being undertaken right now. So this visionary network is about the customer experience. So what we're trying to do is create a network that more people can take more conveniently and requires less time. So, our whole goal is to actually save customers 20,000 hours in travel times based upon current bus frequencies, transfer penalties, and so on. So we're trying to increase the average commuting your range of travel within a certain amount of time, as opposed to today's network. So if you see on the map to the right, this is the existing 10B route, which operates between Hunting Point and Ballston. You see here it goes through Shirlington Transit Station, and it comes out, goes to Arna Valley, and it goes through Mount Vernon, down through Braddock Road Metro Station, down to Hunting Point. And that is a pretty long route. And we've received some concerns from customers in the past about the delay associated with going through all the rotary roads in and out of Shirlington. So as part of this progress with the visionary network, here's what the suggested potential route would be. As you see, it comes out of Ballston. The original alignment, the segment going through Shirlington has been removed, and it goes to Arna Valley and leverages the transitway corridor down US 1 by Potomac Yard and still serves the community of Hunting Point, the high rises down there in Alexandria. So what this does is leverages the investments made into transit infrastructure and also saves customer travel time by quickly going through the communities and bypassing those areas that are sticking points for the services. Now, there's other services being proposed to operate through Shirlington, so we're not abandoning Shirlington, but this is more so an alternative service to improve connectivity and improve travel times. So based upon this process so far, we're looking at this is a data-driven exercise. We're using streetlight data, which is cell phone data. We're looking at current ridership information post-pandemic, and we're looking for like William mentioned earlier, we collaborated with Paul and with Kirk to see if we can leverage the future needs of the communities and jurisdictions throughout Northern Virginia to make sure that this is a bus network that's going to work for everyone, and to leverage the breadth and the economies associated with all of the regional providers together so that we're not competing with one another, but it's more of a cohesive network of bus services across the rail that also complements Metro Rail as well. This visionary network will require a 35% increase in funding across the region. That includes Montgomery County, Prince George's County, DC, and Virginia. The draft network is operator agnostic, meaning that there's no assignments to the services. So, for example, as William mentioned, we're collaborating, excuse me, with Fairfax Q and PG County the bus. Their services are being considered and being rolled into the entire network as being considered for improvement. So what we've done is we've had proposals put in where there is no Metro bus route here, there is no the bus here. They're all listed as proposed routes, and we'll go and work with the jurisdictions later about who operates what. Tying into that, if you review the website, there's a series of temporary route numbers. So you don't have a 16-line service, for example. You'll see VA and a series of numbers. That'll be a temporary assignment for these routes as they're in a proposed state. That way people don't get confused as saying, why is the 16 doing this when it does that? This is just a total fresh look at the network from a high level so that you're seeing this for the first time as a new network and not seeing tweaks to the existing routes. We know behind the scenes working as planners what these routes represent, but for the public to actually digest this and to actually provide good feedback, we want to give them a kind of third party look at this by having new route numbers so that they can actually go in and comment on these without having too much emotional attachments to their existing services. So with that, I'm going to turn it back over to William to wrap it up. And thank you for your attention.
Thank you. Thank you, Andre. So we want to get your feedback, and the reason being is because, as Andre mentioned, this is a very collaborative process, and we're seeking to create synergies that would help us move forward in this process. So here's a couple of things that I'll mention. As you see on the screen, as some of you may be aware, Metro Bus celebrated 50 years back in February. And so as a part of this, the outreach team came up with this theme of hosting 50 events in 50 days to celebrate 50 years of Metro Bus. We started doing outreach back on the 17th of April, and we've had a few events that have taken place, one particularly in Arlington at the shopping plaza across from the Arlington Mill Community Center several weeks ago. But we have a few more opportunities for the public to engage in this process. In some parts of the region, there have been bus ride-alongs. We actually have had we've had all of the webinars actually, and I will share more about the webinar that you can look at that has a more in-depth presentation from what you've seen here. This is more of a shorter one in terms of span of time. As I mentioned, we've had pop-ups similar to having one across from the Arlington Mill Community Center on Columbia Pike. We've been engaging with community-based organizations, and we are listening at community workshops. And there is one near you. I'll talk about that in just a second. However, if you cannot make it to any of the remaining in-person events, you can find out more information at wamata.com/betterbus. I'll put that link in the chat, as well as a link to the Better Bus Experience Lab, which is what we're calling the suite of options that persons can look at online in terms of information regarding the project, which is here. So that Better Bus Virtual Experience Lab basically provides anyone who cannot attend meetings everything that they would need if they were to come to the meeting. We have a trip planner. That trip planner will allow you to put in your address, your starting address, and your end address, and give you kind of an idea of how you can get around using the new, the Draft Visionary Network, if you will, in comparison to what you're doing today. There's also a place where you can comment on your route by leaving route by route feedback on an interactive map. A lot of people have used that, and so we look forward to getting feedback there. There's also maps that you can take a look at, static maps that just have information of the proposed route as a part of the Draft Visionary Network. Then there is a broader, bigger map of Northern Virginia there as well, for those who want to take a look at it. And then there's also a survey where you can provide more detailed feedback and tell us what you think about the Visionary Network and what does it mean for you. As we talked about all along, this has been a process where we have done our best to work with our transit cohorts within the region. And these meetings have been happening with the technical committee since the beginning, but we've also had 2 rounds of coordination workshops in this phase 2. We call them phase 2 service design workshops. We had 2 rounds. We met back in the second week of December, and then we met again in February to work through all of the feedback that we heard in the first phase, operator feedback, challenges and things that we knew going into this process that needed to be looked at, and also taking feedback and input as a part of the early stages of the transit strategic plan that the team is working on there to marry, as Andre mentioned, the synergies that are needed to provide the best service for the county and for the region as a whole. So the next stop is Better Bus, but there is a workshop tomorrow, and it's at the Central Library. We'll be there from 3 p.m. to 7 p.m. If you're able to come, please plan to attend. It's at the Central Library, just a few blocks away from Boston Station. And we will be there with all of the elements that we've talked about. And also you can provide your feedback there as well. We'll have detailed information and maps and some of the things that we're talking about on the online site. You'll be able to take a look at and interact. There'll be some fun activities as well. So it won't be all transit planning stuff, but it'll be an actual fun event. We had the first workshop in Southeast DC at the Arc, and it was well attended and kids came out. So if you want to bring your kids, bring your kids. There'll be face painting, there'll be games and like refreshments and snacks and things of that nature. So feel free to come out tomorrow from 3 p.m. to 7 p.m. at the Central Library, just a few blocks away from Boston. Once we get this feedback, it is kind of back to the lab, as they say, to take that feedback in, understand what the themes are, sort out and sort through how to refine the network, and begin that process to sort out and sort through how best can we implement this network and how long will it take in order to implement such a network such as this. So I will stop there and see if there are any questions, and I'm gonna also stop sharing as well.
William and Andre, thanks so much for sharing that with us. It's great to hear this sort of ground zero base thinking going on here to see, you know, what are the travel needs of people, where do they really want to go, you know, based on way neighborhoods and communities and commercial has developed over, you know, the last period of time, whatever that is. It's great to see that. I know in some of the planning, I used to in transit planning a long time ago, some of the biggest opportunities sometimes we would stumble across would be you have a transit vehicle going from A to B, and if you, a lot of times you pick up people that go from A and they go to like A plus or A plus plus, you know, not too far, but because it's extended back or the route has changed just a little bit, it'll pick up some more people. But where you really hit a home run is when you get somebody that you extend the A back and find out that they really want to travel the whole route all the way from A to B, and you pick up all that new revenue going that distance and save them, you know, having to do it some other way with just very minimal expense increase. So I want to applaud you for this fresh thinking on this, and also the fact that it's interjurisdictional, I think is, you know, really, really fascinating too. So with that, do others have questions or comments?
Yeah.
Herschel?
Yeah. Is this like an all or none, or presumably it's going to be more expensive? Have you learned things that would just maybe save money or just increase the ridership with just by doing, I mean, some particular route, or say from Tyson's to Maryland, or are there some, is it separable?
Very good question. I think one of the things that we're looking at, and this is one of the things that I think Ms. Doris actually brought up where I presented this before in another setting. We're looking at trying to provide service across municipal boundaries as much as we can. There are places within the region where a bus route will get to the municipal boundary, take a left turn, and just needed to go 3 blocks over that way, or half a mile or fourth a mile over that way, and you're having to transfer at that point because of this disconnect. So one of the things that we sought to do was to not do that. And so what we're trying to do is actually provide consistent bus service, particularly out of Arlington Boulevard Washington Boulevard, Wilson Boulevard, from Arlington through Falls Church into Fairfax County, and make that service be consistent. That's one of the other things that we're looking at. As you'll see, consistent frequency of service from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. is something that's paramount as a part of this process. And so that's some of the things that we're wanting to do and looking to do as a part of this effort. And we believe with these efforts that it will help to bring people to take transit. Those who say, well, you know, I don't really know how to use it. I don't want to use it. Give them an opportunity to find something that would actually attract them to come back and use transit. So that's our hope with some of the recommendations. I will say though, there are some trade-offs. And so we definitely need to hear from residents within the community about those because there are some that we had to create in order to do some of the things that we're looking to do.
Okay, other questions or comments? Let's see. Okay, I'll throw in one question, and that is, when you say you're looking at schools, I guess you're probably really looking at university level and above, as opposed to middle school, high school?
Good question. So we're looking at a general sense at schools, definitely trying to make additional connections to George Mason University is one of them within Northern Virginia. In DC, this is a more hyper-focused conversation, primarily because a lot of the students are traveling to and from school using Metrobus. So that's one of the things that we have been looking at as a part of this process. And so looking at making those connections. So.
Okay, great. Ronald, do you have a comment?
Yeah, I just want to commend the staff. This isn't speaking from my 40 or more years of bus riding, primarily in Chicago, as well as tourist trips in major cities. Because one of the arts of the whole city bus system is the frequency of service and versus the cost. I mean, the public would like a bus on every route every 5 minutes, but that's clearly that costs too much and can't be done. So this is an area I'm pleased to see that the staff seems to understand all of these issues, with the added complication in the Washington area of these different jurisdictions, which they don't have in the city of Chicago, for instance. This is very important to have the staff expertise here, and I commend you for that. Thank you.
Great. Well, I want to thank you both for this presentation, and want to encourage folks to go to the open house tomorrow at the library if they can, from 3 to 7, and stay tuned for further pop-ups that you have in connection with this. And we'll look forward to hearing more about it in the near future as you do even more work on it. So thank you both very much.
Thank you, and we'll come back when you're ready to give another update as customary.
Great, thanks so much. Let's move on to the WMATA fare changes, Potomac Yard opening, and then the station closings.
All right, can you see my screen?
Yes.
All right, so with the fare changes, we're looking at consolidating the weekday peak and off-peak rail fare structure into just a weekday. And it's going to be a distance-based fare structure that ranges from $2 to $6. The $2 matches the bus. I'm getting some feedback. $2 matches the bus base rate, and $6 is down from the proposed $6.50, so that the long range riders would not be negatively impacted. They're reducing, as was mentioned during the public comment section, they're reducing the maximum fare on Metro Access to $4 a trip, which equals double the the base rate of fixed route bus. And they're introducing a regional low income fare program, which would be 50% off the fare, much like what people with disabilities or seniors have right now. This deck will be sent out as a PDF tomorrow, probably, when Pierre sends out the rest of the stuff. The low income fare program will follow. It will include all the people who sign up for the program who are eligible for SNAP, which is a Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program. We in Arlington have a system right now for Art Bus that is both SNAP and TANF, where we are loading money onto fare cards, the Smart Trip cards. So this will extend the amount of trips that an Arlingtonian who is in the SNAP program, if they sign up for the Metro one as well, this will extend how much that they can ride. The Metrobus fares stay the same. The Potomac Yard Station will be opening on May 19th. It's an infill station between National Airport and Braddock Road Station, which are currently, in service. But this will be in addition to those, about midway between each. It's going to service the blue and yellow lines. And it's looking to support 26,000 new jobs and 13,000 new residents. So hopefully this station will increase ridership on the yellow and blue, which then can connect to other lines as well. And of note, the Potomac Yard Station will be one of the first rail stations in North America to receive LEED certification from the U.S. Green Building Council. In the summer, there's going to be a span of rail outages. I guess we're kind of getting used to that now. But the track, as it's failing. It needs to be replaced. Some of the track has been there since it was originally laid, and it says here some of the rail breaks. The system is 40 years old. So in June, everything with a C on it, those stations are going to be closed. Anything that looks like a bullseye, those stations stay open. So Ballston will remain open, but East Falls Church will be closed and all the way out to Vienna. So there will have to be shuttle buses, and we'll get to that in a moment. But if you're riding the Silver Line, you would get on a shuttle bus at McLean, and it would take you to Ballston or points further. Then later, once in after June 25th until July 16th, these stations will be closed, Vienna and Dunloring. So basically, from June 3rd to July 16th, riders on the Orange Line will be affected. And from June 3rd to June 25th, riders on the Silver Line would be affected because they need to jump over East Falls Church. And then likewise, on the other side of the river, there's some Green Line and some work being done out there. This goes over the time span, etc. I pulled this from Metro Board report, and it talks about the monies. You got 5 minutes left. Likewise, and here's the shuttle service so that people know that they can still get from wherever their origin is, if it's Vienna, Dunloring, West Falls, etc., into the closer in stations. So much like what's been happening with the Yellow Line shutdown, there'll be shuttle buses running both local and express. So as mentioned, this will be in the packet. And if you have any questions on that, feel free to ask, send me an email or ask for further information from Metro. And that does it, and it leaves some time for questions.
Okay, thanks, Kurt. One question for you about the fare changes.
Mhm.
When would that take effect?
July 1st, unless I'm told otherwise.
And would
by
that
Metro.
be revenue neutral, or how would it estimated to affect the revenue they get under the current fare structure?
So with the Metro Access, it was determined that because of lowering the cap, the max fare down to double that of fixed route, more people would ride, because one of the complaints that has been heard and heard and heard, but nobody was able to do anything until just now, was that it's very difficult when you're making booking a trip on Metro Access to determine how much it's going to cost, because the rail was being thrown in there for the max rate, because the ADA says that you can't charge more than double that of the fastest trip. But if we take it down to bus, then it makes it so that somebody can actually have a budget for the trips that they need to take in a week or a month. With the fixed route, or no, with the Metro Rail, the numbers that finance ran was that there would not be a significant deficit, and that money was being found by other ways, management cuts, basically, in order to keep it neutral, and or maybe because of the more riders, it would increase the revenues.
So a question I have about the Metro same fares all day is, what level of fares would be all day? The non-rush hour?
So it's 40 cents. What it is you start off at $2, right? And if you travel more than 3 miles, then it's $2.40, and then it's 40 cents for every mile after that, up to $6. So it makes it. It used to be that it was the amount of miles that the train went, as well as like how many miles it was from where you were to Metro Center. It was like this convoluted calculation that you had to figure out. Whereas now they're simplifying it down to 40 cents per mile after the first 3 miles, with the base of 2 and up to 6.
Okay, I guess what I'm asking
there's gonna be a
yeah.
calculator. I've been promised that there would be a calculator in the trip planner, so that when you're going in to figure out what your trip is going to be, it would tell you how much your fare will be.
Okay. All right, Harvey, you have a comment? Harvey, you need to unmute yourself.
Still on mute.
Could you go back to the last slide, please?
Can you see it?
Not now. You had it. It was the first one you had up there, but now there's nothing up there. There's nothing up there now.
There's nobody seeing it?
No, We're not.
I'm not seeing it.
All right.
It was
hold on,
there
let
at
me try
first
it
and then
again.
it disappeared.
Can you see it now?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Okay, so in the off-peak from 9 AM to 3 PM, is there service on all of the lines?
Yeah, it says, all right, so it's every 5 minutes during those peaks and it's 10 minutes when it's not the peak. So between 9 and 3, it would be 10 minutes. Am I reading that correct, Andre?
Yes, thank you. That answers my question. Thank you.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's correct.
Okay. All right, any other questions for Kirk?
Yeah, I threw a question in the chat. Hi, Kirk. This is Patrick.
Okay, read it for us.
Last time there was a update on gate jumpers, and I was just curious if there were any additional measures being taken to recapture that lost revenue.
So they've I didn't prepare for that question, but I do know that they have at Fort Totten, they've put higher, like there was the saloon door type things.
Mhm.
They've increased the top so it makes it more difficult for people to jump over. And they're still in the testing phase of that.
Okay, thank you. And
Kirk, just to tie on to that, sorry not to jump in. So for those glass saloon style doors, they've increased the height and they've also reinforced the hinges because the current configuration, you can push them open if you push hard enough. So the newer revised fair gate will be harder to push open and harder to jump over.
And the other thing that I had heard was that once they switched to the saloon, it reduced the amount of jumping, but didn't quell the whole situation. That's why they raised it. But they were seeing an awful lot of people piggybacking where they just got right up on somebody and went through 2 for 1. So they're working on that as well. Does that answer your question?
It does, yes. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, thanks a lot, Kirk. Appreciate it.
All right, thank you.
All right, next item here is the Ballston Metro Station West entrance.
Good
Harvey,
evening,
why don't you
everyone.
turn your video off?
Good evening, everyone again. Let me just share my screen to show you
Okay.
the presentation. As I mentioned before, I'm Connect Sevilla. I'm the project manager for Ballston West entrance. Can everyone see the presentation?
Yes.
Okay. So let me start with some information about the project, some backup information. So the project is located at the intersection of Fairfax Drive and North Fairmont Street. This is going to be a second entrance to the existing Ballston West, the Ballston Metro Station. By having the second entrance, the distance that pedestrians will have to walk to enter the station would be reduced by about a quarter of a mile, which would also, and having a second entrance there would also relieve the congestion condition at the platforms and provides an additional egress path for evacuation during an emergency. And I'll explain some of that stuff as we go through the other slides. This is a county-led project with coordination with WMATA, and currently we have a budget of about $150 million for the project. Okay, so a bit of background in terms of timeline. The project started in 1998 and 2000. It was going to be developed in conjunction with the adjacent building, 4420 Fairfax Drive. In 2006, the firm that was designing the project had developed plans up to 35% level. However, due to economic conditions in July of 2006, the project was put on hold because it was tied to the 4420 Fairfax Drive, which was going to be a residential building. In 2010, the county performed a feasibility study to determine if the entrance could be developed separately from the adjacent building. And in 2015, the project was reactivated from 2015, 2019, the county worked to gain easements, the easements that it needed to provide or to develop the west entrance separately from the adjacent building. In 2019, I'm sorry, we hired a consultant to update the 35% design documents that were developed back in 2006. As a result of that task order, we realized that some of the elements needed to be completely redesigned or designed completely all over again. So we had some challenges with that. So this is the entrance from the street view. The top, if you see the top square here, that's the entrance from the street view. And this rectangle, blue shaded rectangle, that's actually existing already in the building adjacent at 901 North Glebe Road. And I'll show you a little bit on the next station of what that looks like currently. The project, so where we are with the project currently, we just submitted a 35% design to WMATA after updating and redesigning some of those elements that I mentioned. The new entrance will have 3 regular fare gates and 2 ADA, 2 street elevators, and stairs going to the mezzanine level. And all of this, having this new entrance will reduce the exit time and improve egress. So right here from street level, you'll be able to go down the stairs and enter the mezzanine level here, or take the elevators that will be on the other side of the street next to the existing building of 4420 Fairfax Drive. So this is if you were to be standing on the street where the station will be. On the left, you see this is the location for the future elevators. And on the right will be the future location of the stairs. So here where this bubble is, underneath those pavers there, we already have a vault that was actually built as part of this building, 901 North Glebe Road. And we're just going to be opening those pavers and tying into that vault for installing the stairs there. Okay, so once you go, so this is where you enter the station and you go to this pedestrian tunnel, and it takes you to here. Well, you'll be able to enter the mezzanine level and go down to the platforms. So with some of the issues we had to deal with was opening the vault here without damaging the structure. So we ended up going with 3 openings, which you can see on the bottom right. Now we're going to have 3 openings on the platform side to allow people to enter and exit the elevators there. And by doing this option, we were able to reduce the risk to the vault. The mezzanine level here will include 4 stairs, 2 on each platforms, and 3 elevators. 2 elevators on this south platform and 1 elevator on the north platform. That was something that we had to get approved with by WMATA to only have one elevator on the north side. That was one of the other challenges that we had designing this entrance. Due to easements and conflicts with that location, we were only able to have 1 elevator on that side. So this is a view of the planes of the entrance from where you enter all the way to the actual station. And as you can see here, having 4 stairs on the platform level and having this entrance would allow, the 4 stairs would allow people to clear the station in case of emergency. And this will create a new evacuation route. So now the station would have 2 evacuation routes, which would reduce the egress and exit times. Other updates in terms of funding, the project is now fully funded. Last year, we received $80 million from NVTA, and we received $4.5 million from an NVTC grant. We also have other funding from Arlington County, which will be just added $32 million to the project. And we had previous funding from NVTA of $12 million and DRPT of $10 million. We are also expecting to have a total of $11.5 million from developer contribution. This was part of an agreement from the 4420 Fairfax Drive development. Now, the next steps for the project this summer, we are, like I mentioned before, we just submitted 35% design to WMATA, and we expect to be completely done with all of that by this summer. And then we would focus on procurement for design build services. And we're hoping to have that awarded and have that work started next summer and have the project go from summer of 2024 to summer 2027. So the next steps would be to receive the approval on the 35% design documents, procure the design build services, and then move into construction in 2024 through 2027. Here is the project link in case you guys want to get more information and keep updates or stay current with all the updates on the project. Are there any questions?
Yeah, I have a comment here, Kenix, and thank you for that presentation. I think, you know, whenever we see construction like that, we realize how expensive and comprehensive it really is. But I'm pleased to see that we're getting $11.5 million out of the developer. I know they try and put as little in as possible, but I'm glad to see it's a significant amount of their share. And it's also interesting to see, you know, how much walk time it's going to save people with that new connection. So all those are good things.
Thank you for your comments.
Other comments or questions? Oh, somebody on the phone, I think, has a question. Is that right?
Mr. Chair.
Okay.
This is Doris. Could I ask a question? I know
let's see.
I'm in the pub. Huh?
Yeah, actually, we're kind of pressed on time here. So, well, I'll tell you what, if you got a quick one here.
I just wanted to ask whether there's any progress, particularly on adding a redundant elevator at the courthouse station, because that's one of the older stations, and it is always breaking down. So I'm wondering why we're doing this before adding where we need to, you know, correct some problems to access the station.
All right. Anybody want to take that one?
I can take part of that. This is Robin McElhenney. I'm the Transit Capital Program Manager. The second elevator for courthouse, or actually it's two new elevators, is in our CIP program. It's in some out years. We are hoping to get, well, we were planning to get the design or the feasibility study. Let me stop and start again. We did a conceptual design on this new elevator several years ago. We need to revalidate the conceptual plans with WMATA, and we're going to be doing that work in the next fiscal year. And from that point forward, we'll then move into the design phase and the construction phase. So it is in our program, and it will be advanced in a few years.
Okay, thank you, Robin. Okay, any other questions here for Kenix on this project? Okay, Kenix, thank you very much for your presentation today. Next item here is the Accessibility Subcommittee report. So Alexa, and Harvey, why don't you turn your camera off, okay?
Hi, everybody. This is Alexa. We did have our subcommittee meeting. A couple of things. One is that county staff is providing us with more detailed information on STAR metrics, including information about missed trips, which I am very glad to see, considering that, you know, the big problem that folks are having is with, you know, trips being missed, you know, folks in wheelchairs not being able to get a ride home at 1 a.m., you know, those sorts of things. So I'm glad to see that we're getting that data. The other thing is, it seems like we have all new staff people, and from what they told us at the subcommittee meeting tonight, all of the recommendations that had been made are actually being reviewed again. So we still don't have an estimated time for, you know, when the public engagement will be. But it does look like they are aware that the ridership is very deeply concerned about those recommendations, and that they are going back to square one. Whether or not whatever recommendations they do come up with will resemble the ones that folks have had such a hard time with, we don't know yet, but it looks like they have decided to go completely back to the drawing board again. So that is the information that I have at this time. Did you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yes, we heard you. Anything else you want to cover?
That's pretty much what we went over. I believe there were a couple of people that were trying to get into the meeting to make public comment who didn't quite get a chance to. So, you know, I'm not sure if that may be, you know, part of why some folks might be here at this meeting tonight, but that was what they went over. So, Herschel, do you have anything to add?
The only thing is, I think when we advertise these meetings, we should tell people that they're not going to get the full benefit if they call in, if they don't have a screen, because and that's, I guess it's a particular problem with the people who are interested in the subcommittee, but I'm not sure there's anything that we can do about it except to warn them, because you.
Yeah, I believe the issue is that a lot of the people calling in are blind or visually impaired. And, you know, the best way to handle that is to describe the slides, but, you know,
Well,
like the slides that folks had tonight, for example, were like really, really detailed Excel spreadsheets. So I don't know, you know, whether the best thing to do there is to plan for longer meetings and have folks give detailed visual descriptions, or
there is software that people, I don't know exactly how that would work, and whether that's just for reading text, and that there's no software for well, which would be okay for slides that have words on them, but would not work, I guess, for things that graphs and things that are
chart scraps, that
charts.
sort of thing. Yeah, I'm honestly not sure of the state of that technology.
If they have numbers and letters, I think they probably can read them. They just need that special software, I guess. But
And probably would need to be emailed materials in advance, which may be difficult for staff. I don't know.
well, it must be a countywide problem, and I don't know how it gets handled, but it can't be unique to the subcommittee. So
Yeah, it can't be. I believe I see somebody's hand up. I don't know whether that's related to this or related to something that had gone by.
I was hoping to comment since I am a blind person. Can I do that?
Go ahead, Doris.
Yeah, I think it would be useful.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that number one, if you want some advice on how to handle meetings and make sure that people who aren't able to see presentations, PowerPoints and other materials on the screen, it's done very effectively down at the WMATA Accessibility Advisory Committee, and there are many of us who are blind patrons who are on that committee. But and we do it very well at the Disability Advisory Commission. I believe, and Alexa could also comment on that, but just enunciating the information on the PowerPoint rather than or in a table rather than just saying you can see on this blah blah blah. But the other thing is to let you know that you cannot listen to and participate in a meeting while your speech software, JAWS is what most people use, is reading a document that's on your screen. So consequently, receiving the materials in advance is important. The last thing that I'll say, and that can be arranged before meetings, but the last thing that I will say is that actually the problem tonight was that nobody picked up the, at least the problem I had, nobody picked up the phone. I was in the waiting room, where it says, you're joining the meeting now, but there must have been something, or somebody wasn't paying attention, so they just didn't. And I know one of the other.
There were several people that were sending me emails offline, Doris, saying that they couldn't get in. So we were aware that something was going on, and we were trying to figure out what was wrong. I spent most of.
That's what I'm saying. It was something about the system and the webinar system, or whatever you call it, the platform, because that has happened to me in some other meetings, that if there's something that if you don't do whatever it is, then the person doesn't get admitted to the meeting. That's all I'm saying. It appeared to be that same kind of thing.
Okay, well, it sounds like maybe, the committee members and staff can work on, a better way to handle that. I'm not sure we can do it here tonight in this big meeting, but that's something to be aware of and work on improving it for the future. Does that sound fair enough?
Oh, yeah, no, I just think it's something to be aware of. I've had it happen on other meetings too. So.
Yeah. Okay, thanks for calling that to our attention here. All right, Alexa, anything else to bring up?
Nothing I can think of. We're basically in a holding pattern for now.
Okay. All right. Well, we thank you and Herschel for your hard work on this committee. Our next item is additional items from committee members and staff. I have something I'd like to bring up, and that is it's in connection with the July 18th meeting, which, scheduled right now for July 18th, but I'll be the first to say that that's not really a good night for me. It looks like I'm going to be out of town, so I wondered if maybe the 25th might be possible, or maybe we need to poll the group so we get the best turnout. and really get people thinking hard so that when we take that tour, we in fact have a really good turnout. What are your thoughts on that, Pierre?
Yeah, I could send a poll out to the TAC tomorrow to, ask, if the 18th or the 25th is preferred.
Okay. That would be great. I know that's in the middle of July when, sometimes people are out of the office, vacations, that sort of thing. So we just want to make sure we get a night when we can get a really good turnout, because those tours are always very, very interesting.
Don't ask which is preferred. Ask which can you be there those nights? And some
Yes.
people will say both nights, and you'll find out how many people might be missing each of those nights.
Good point, Herschel. Okay, anything else tonight?
Can I ask about, there was this business about the bylaws. Is that, where is that stand?
So we are currently in the process of having internal reviews. It's currently being reviewed through our Department of Environmental Service Leadership. And hopefully we can get something to the TAC either over the summer via email or by the September meeting, but it's in the process of internal reviews.
And my other question is, you had in there is something about people rotating off. I have been on this for 20 years.
Well, Herschel, we want to give you your 20-year pin at the next meeting.
And I'm willing to continue, but if you're going to take seriously the rotation, clearly I'm probably not the only one, but anyway, who would be rotated off. You could also grandfather me in if you'd like, but I just wanted you to be aware of that issue.
Thanks for sharing that, Herschel. Okay, anything else? Okay, is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Okay, great. Thank you all very much. And we'll see the poll here in the next few days and figure out when we want to have our July tour. So thanks for participating tonight. Good night.
All right, everybody.
Bye, everyone. See you soon.
Have a good night.